I used to sit at the edge of my bed at 2 a.m. asking myself the same question over and over again. Why do I keep choosing men who can't meet me where I am? Wasn't a bitter question. It wasn't about blame. It was more like a soft itchy, a yearning. I wasn't looking for someone perfect. I just wanted someone present, emotionally available, ambitious but not arrogant, kind but not weak, strong but never controlling. I wanted someone who saw me, who respected me, who showed up. But for the longest time, I kept attracting men who only liked the idea of me, men who admired my strength but feared my independence, men who chased but never stayed until everything changed. This video is not going to give you recycled advice. We're not talking about texting rules or the 3-day wait or pretending to be someone you're not just to pique a stranger's interest. That's not how you attract a high-value man in 2025. That's how you exhaust yourself into loneliness. Today, we're going to tear down the entire outdated playbook, and in its place, I'm going to help you build something real, something powerful, something magnetic. Because the truth is, attracting a high-value man doesn't begin with him. It begins with you. Let me take you back to the moment I met him. Not the man, not the one I eventually fell in love with. I'm talking about the moment I met myself, the version of me that I had ignored, buried, and silenced to be liked, to be chosen. I met her the night I stopped waiting for a text that never came. I met her when I stopped shrinking in rooms to make others feel comfortable. I met her when I said, enough. I will not abandon myself just to be loved. And it was from that moment that everything shifted. Because when you begin to see your own worth, truly see it, something in the universe responds. So let me ask you this. What if the love of your life isn't someone you find, but someone you attract by becoming the woman you were always meant to be? That's where we begin. Forget the old rules. In 2025, a high-value man is not the guy with the biggest bank account or the most followers on social media. He's not the one who flashes charisma but lacks integrity. He's not the one who says all the right things but disappears when life gets complicated. A high-value man today is emotionally intelligent. He values commitment. He respects your ambition. He's growing, evolving. He wants a partner, not a project. And to attract a man like that, you must stop chasing the illusion of worth and start embodying it. Let's redefine what high value means for him and for you. You see, a high value woman knows what she wants, but she also knows who she is. She doesn't need to perform or manipulate or play games. She's not afraid of being alone because her life is already full. She's not sitting by the phone. She's building an empire. She's not molding herself into someone else's fantasy. She's rooted in her own truth. That kind of woman is magnetic. And if you're still wondering where to start, let's begin here. Define your non-negotiables, not just surface traits. Go deeper. What kind of man do you want to build a life with? What values must he hold sacred? What behaviors are absolute deal breakers? If you don't know what you need, You'll keep settling for what looks good on paper, but feels hollow in real life. For me, I needed emotional availability, ambition, and kindness, not just chemistry, alignment. And when I finally wrote that down, really claimed it, I stopped entertaining half-hearted connections. I stopped mistaking attention for affection. I stopped confusing intensity with intimacy. That's when space opened in my life for someone worthy to walk in. And he did. But he didn't show up while I was waiting. He showed up while I was living, while I was cultivating confidence and independence, while I was out in the world saying yes to my dreams. Because confidence isn't something you fake, it's something you build. So let's talk about how. Own your narrative. Start by rewriting the story you tell yourself about your worth. You're not too much. You're not too picky. You're not behind. You are right on time. And the more you anchor yourself in that belief, the less you tolerate breadcrumbs and broken promises. I remember the day I decided I'd no longer explain my success to make a man feel comfortable. I stopped minimizing my wins. I stopped saying, "I'm just lucky," when I had worked damn hard. That shift wasn't about arrogance. It was about ownership. And guess what happened? I attracted someone who didn't feel threatened by my light. He was drawn to it. Because real men, high-value men, don't compete with you. They celebrate you. So cultivate your independence emotionally and financially. Your financial freedom isn't just about money. It's about choice. It's about power. When you're secure in your career, your goals, your future, you don't date from fear. You don't tolerate toxicity because you're afraid of losing support. You know you can walk away at any time, and that freedom makes you unshakable. This doesn't mean you don't want love. It means you're unwilling to sacrifice your self-worth for it. And along the way, build your tribe. Surround yourself with women who see your greatness and reflect it back to you. Women who clap when you win, who challenge you when you settle, who remind you of your standards when your heart forgets. Your environment is your foundation. Don't underestimate its power. One of the most underrated things that helped me grow was simply being around other women who were thriving. Not in a comparison kind of way, but in a she did it, so can I kind of way. We rise by proximity. We expand when we're seen. And while you're building that tribe, don't forget to live your best life. Seriously, go out there and live. Take yourself on that solo trip. Learn that new language. Say yes to spontaneous adventures. Date yourself first, because nothing attracts a high-value man more than a woman who already has a beautiful life and is just looking for someone to share it with, not someone to complete it. Your joy is magnetic. Your fulfillment is irresistible. There's a moment I'll never forget. I was hiking alone in Italy, journaling under the sun after reaching the top of a steep cliff. I was sweaty, tired, and wildly alive. And I remember thinking, this is who I want to be when I meet him. Not waiting, not longing, living. That energy, that radiance, it changes the entire dynamic. So let me say it again. It's not about finding a man. It's about becoming the kind of woman who naturally draws the right man toward her. A man who values depth over games, who wants your mind as much as your body, who sees partnership as sacred, not transactional. And yes, use dating apps if you want, but use them as a tool, not a lifeline. Show up authentically in your profile. Share your values. Highlight your passions. Don't try to appeal to everyone. Speak to the one who gets it. And when you meet him, don't pretend to be chill if you're not. Don't downplay your standards. Don't go with the flow if the flow is going nowhere. You deserve intentional love. Not love you have to earn. Not love that makes you question your worth every week. Real love. Consistent, honest, inspired love. And that starts with choosing yourself every single day. So here's the question I'll leave you with for now. What would your life look like if you stopped waiting to be chosen and started choosing yourself with the same passion you've given to others? Let's return to that question. What would your life look like if you stopped waiting to be chosen and started choosing yourself with the same passion you've given to others? Most women don't realize this, but that's the moment when everything shifts, not externally, but internally. That quiet but powerful decision to stop molding yourself into someone else's idea of dateable and instead reclaim your voice, your energy, your worth. That's when the game changes. That's when love stops being a performance and starts being a magnet. Because self-respect isn't loud, but it's unmistakably felt. And once you start living in alignment with that truth, something sacred begins to happen. You stop chasing, you start attracting. Now let's be honest for a moment. You don't just want any relationship. You want the right relationship. A connection that elevates you, expands you, grounds you, but you cannot build something real on a foundation of pretending. And in today's world of filtered dating profiles, polished personas, and curated perfection, authenticity is your superpower. So here's a radical truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. If you want a high-value man, one who communicates with depth, honors commitment, respects your boundaries, and cherishes your individuality, you have to become a mirror of those very qualities. And let me be clear, this is not about fixing yourself to be worthy of love. You already are. This is about removing what no longer serves you, releasing old programming, peeling back the layers of fear, doubt, and people pleasing that have kept you playing small. It's about alignment, not perfection. I want to take you back to a quiet memory. It was a Thursday evening. I had just come home from work, tired, a bit emotionally drained. I made myself tea, curled up with a book, and just sat in silence. No scrolling, no distractions, just presence. And in that moment, I had this realization, I haven't truly been present in my own life. I had been so focused on finding someone, proving my worth, being chosen, that I forgot to simply be. And it hit me. How can someone fall in love with you if you're not even rooted in your own life? That night changed me. I started small. I turned off my phone for an hour each day. I journaled not to fix myself, but to hear myself. I looked in the mirror and practiced saying out loud, "You're enough." It felt silly at first, but slowly something softened, something opened, and I realized this is what a high-value woman does. She doesn't abandon herself. She comes home to herself again and again. You want to attract a man who shows up. Then you have to show up for yourself. And showing up means honoring your emotions, not judging yourself for wanting connection, not shaming yourself for past heartbreaks, not minimizing your desires because you're afraid of being too much. It means choosing wholeness over performance. You've probably heard this quote before. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. I'll take it further. What love needs, what real partnership needs, is two people who have come alive in their own right. A high-value man isn't looking for someone to complete him. He's looking for someone who complements him. And to do that, you need to cultivate the kind of life that reflects the relationship you want. So ask yourself, are you living with intention? Are you taking care of your body? Not to fit a standard, but to feel powerful in your skin. Are you pursuing goals that stretch you and excite you? Are you nourishing your friendships with depth and honesty? Are you living in alignment with your values, even when no one is watching? Because high-value love is built on high-value habits. Let me give you a real example. One of my clients, Maya, came to me saying, "I don't understand. I have a great job. I'm attractive. I'm kind, but I keep attracting emotionally unavailable men." We talked. We dug deep. And eventually, we uncovered that Maya wasn't setting emotional boundaries. She was over giving. She was making excuses for poor behavior because she didn't want to be alone. She was available for inconsistency. And so that's what she kept getting. So I gave her a challenge. For 30 days, no chasing, no over-explaining, no fixing, just alignment. Show up, be honest, communicate needs. Let people rise or fall away. Week 1 was hard. She felt the discomfort of stillness. Week 2, she started noticing red flags she used to ignore. By week 4, she had let go of 3 connections that drained her. And 2 months later, she met someone who didn't make her guess, didn't play games, and didn't need her to be smaller to feel secure. Why? Because she changed her energy. She raised her standard, and the universe responded. That's the power you hold when you stop leading from scarcity and start leading from self-worth. And here's another truth we need to confront. You cannot magnetize your ideal match while you're clinging to what no longer aligns. Let go. Let go of the man who texts at midnight but disappears by morning. Let go of the situationship that never evolves into real commitment. Let go of the fantasy that someone will change if you just love them harder. Let go of the belief that you have to earn affection. Release it all. Because when you release what drains you, you create space for what fulfills you. You attract differently when you no longer fear the silence. You love differently when you stop negotiating your standards. You live differently when you decide that peace is more important than potential. And when you stand in that kind of truth, your presence alone becomes magnetic. You walk into rooms differently. You speak with clarity. You stop over-explaining. You move with grace, not arrogance, not force. Just quiet, radiant self-respect. And yes, men feel it. They feel it when you speak your truth and don't apologize for it. They feel it when you say no and mean it. They feel it when you don't make excuses for their lack of effort. Because nothing is more attractive to a high-value man than a woman who values herself. Let me take you into a moment of history that captures this energy. Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt, was not just known for her beauty. In fact, by today's standards, she might not have stood out physically, but what made her legendary was her presence, her intelligence, her wit, her command of space. She spoke 9 languages. She studied politics and philosophy. She negotiated with emperors. She knew her worth, and she projected it in everything she did. That's the kind of presence that transcends time. That's the kind of presence that draws powerful love, not performative, not desperate, just deeply rooted in self-awareness and sovereignty. You can embody that too, but it begins within. So before you ask, how do I attract a high-value man? Ask yourself, am I living as a high-value woman? Because the most powerful love you'll ever experience will come from the version of you who stops settling for less. And that version of you, she's already in there, waiting, rising. Let's go even deeper now. You've reclaimed your standards. You've started choosing yourself. You've begun building a life that reflects your worth. But now comes the part most people avoid, the part that separates fleeting attraction from soul-level connection, emotional intelligence, boundaries, communication, discernment. Because attracting a high-value man isn't about, how do I get him to like me? It's about, how do I recognize him when he arrives? And more importantly, how do I make sure I don't abandon myself in the process? Let me tell you something you already know, but may need to hear again with deeper clarity. A man's potential means nothing if it comes at the cost of your peace. You do not exist to be a rehab center for someone's emotional immaturity. You do not exist to be an emotional translator for a man who refuses to grow up. You are not here to teach someone how to love you. The right man will already be willing. And if he's not ready, he won't waste your time pretending. So how do you tell the difference between a man who's truly high value and one who's just performing? Start by listening not to what he says, but how consistently his actions align with his words. A high-value man will follow through. Respect your boundaries without testing them. Ask meaningful questions. Make space for your needs. Communicate even when it's uncomfortable. Show interest in your goals, not just your looks. He won't rush the connection. He won't ghost. He won't confuse intensity with intimacy. But here's the catch. You have to be emotionally available enough to receive that kind of man. Let's be honest. So many women say they want deep, conscious love, but they're addicted to chaos, addicted to adrenaline, drawn to the unpredictable. And why? Because we mistake anxiety for attraction. We mistake nerves for chemistry. We confuse uncertainty with passion, but that's not love. That's trauma reenacting itself. Real love is calm. Real love is consistent. Real love feels safe, not boring safe. Safe enough for you to open. Safe enough for you to rise. Safe enough for you to rest. That kind of love doesn't thrive in fantasy. It thrives in truth. But to get there, you must become emotionally fluent. You must learn to communicate your needs, not as demands, but as sacred invitations. You must learn to set boundaries, not to punish others, but to protect your energy. You must learn to recognize the difference between high standards and emotional walls. And you must do it early, not 3 months into the relationship, but from the very first interaction. If a man flakes on you twice in the first week, believe him. If he talks about his ex with disdain and takes no accountability, believe him. If he jokes about commitment being a trap or labels all his past partners as crazy, believe him. A high-value man doesn't leave you in confusion. He leads with clarity. But here's the real power move. You don't wait for clarity from him. You bring clarity with you. I remember a moment when I told someone, on the second date, I value direct communication. I don't do mind games. If we're not aligned, I respect honesty. He looked stunned. Then he smiled and said, "Wow, that's refreshing." And you know what? That relationship didn't last, but it ended with grace, not games. Because I made it clear who I was, and that sets the tone. When you know your values, you lead with them. So what does that look like? Let's say you value emotional availability. Then you don't ignore the red flags of avoidance. You ask questions early. You create emotionally safe spaces, but you don't overfunction to fix him. You observe how he handles difficult conversations. Does he retreat? Does he blame? Or does he stay in the moment and try? Let's say you value growth. Then you align your life with learning, progress, self-reflection. And you seek men who are doing the same. Not just talking about it, but living it. A man's gym schedule doesn't make him high value. His emotional presence, his relational maturity, his ability to sit with discomfort. That's what separates a man from a boy. Let's say you value honesty. Then you don't excuse lying because I had a hard childhood. You don't rationalize manipulation. You don't settle for half-truths. You don't confuse potential with reality. And when you do this work, you stop auditioning, you start attracting, because a high-value woman doesn't beg for connection. She magnetizes it. She radiates confidence not by being loud, but by being grounded. Her energy says, "I've got me. And if you want to meet me here, come correct." She doesn't fall for love bombing. She doesn't get swept up in compliments that aren't backed by effort. She's too rooted to be rattled. Let me share one more story that brings this home. There was a woman named Eleanor. Not a celebrity, not an influencer, just a deeply grounded, radiant woman in her 30s. She'd been through heartbreak, divorce, betrayal, years of unhealed wounds. But she did the work. She sat in therapy. She forgave herself. She reclaimed her body, her joy, her voice. And then she met someone, a quiet man, a kind man, not flashy, not the life of the party. But he listened. He remembered what she said. He honored her pace. And on their 6th date, he looked her in the eyes and said, "You make me want to be better, but the thing is, you never asked me to. You just are who you are, and it inspires me." That's it. That's the energy. You don't attract a high-value man by contorting. You attract him by becoming someone who inspires greatness just by being herself. So now, I leave you with this truth. You are not here to prove your worth. You are here to embody it. You are not here to convince someone to choose you. You are here to choose yourself so profoundly that the right man recognizes you immediately. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be whole. And in 2025, the kind of woman who wins in love is the woman who leads with wholeness, not hunger. So breathe deep. Stand tall. Stop shrinking. Start radiating. The man you seek, he exists. But he won't find you until you stop hiding behind the mask of almost enough. Show the world who you are. Speak your truth. Live boldly. And let your energy do the attracting. Because the love you want, the deep, honoring, steady, electric kind of love, it's not found in the chase. It's found in the becoming. So become and watch what shows up. The love of your life isn't waiting at the end of some game. He's waiting for the moment you fully come home to yourself. And when you do, he'll recognize you because he's been becoming too.